The Muslim Brotherhood is a cancer. I'm not saying it's like cancer. I'm saying it is cancer, and it will grow and then kill the host. It will kill itself eventually, because cancer, when it kills the host,
Dies eventually.
but the point is, it kills the host. The Muslim Brotherhood is the most dangerous transnational extremist organization our planet has seen, and the cartel can only be compared to a small drop. For example,
To that extent.
to even beyond that, I will tell you that a single terrorist organization that was born out of the Muslim Brotherhood, such as ISIS, you cannot compare the cartel to ISIS. ISIS, the cinematic level of terrorism ISIS has shown us, with the ideology driven behind it, to rape and kill and massacre and burn and drown and behead and play football with people's heads. That is the ideology of the Muslim Brotherhood, right? The cartel are evil, but we have not seen evil like that of the Muslim Brotherhood. They have infiltrated Western societies. So in America, they're over 100 years old. The Muslim Brotherhood first presence in America began shortly after the Muslim Brotherhood was established through missionaries. The Muslim Brotherhood in Canada is 60 years old. So you're looking at second and third and fourth generation Muslim Brotherhood. People who were there first, they have the biggest mosque, the biggest minarets, the most lavish buildings, infiltrated in universities, in education sectors, in ministries of multiculturalism and immigration, aides to prime ministers, advising the White House. So they're not presenting themselves as another Muslim organization. No, they're saying, we are Islam. This is what Islam says and is, and therefore we have the final say.
As if they're the true representatives.
Guardians of the faith. They present themselves as the guardians of the faith and the protectors of the Muslim community. And I guarantee you, on my life and honor, that half of the Muslim community does not know who these Muslim Brotherhood organizations even are. If you mention an acronym of one of their organizations. Why? Because these Muslim Brotherhood organizations do not exist to serve the Muslim community. They exist only during election time and to hijack two main issues.
Which are?
The Muslim Brotherhood survives on two issues in the West. Politically, Islamophobia. Everything is Islamophobia. They will bully politicians to doing what they say, because otherwise would be Islamophobia. They come to Canada and they say, we need a commissioner on Islamophobia, right? We need an entire mission and several $1 million budget. And then God knows where the money is then used. Between themselves, of course. You look at, for example, the foreign issue that the Muslim Brotherhood uses, which is the second issue. The first is political. The second is the Palestinian cause. If there is a single entity that has abused, used and reused and abused the Palestinian cause, it is the Muslim Brotherhood.
But you don't think they actually care about the cause?
Not at all. They do not care about the cause. The Muslim Brotherhood, they admit on video that the Palestinian cause is just another bridge for them to achieve their goals. Look at the amount of people that were killed in Gaza. This is all as a result of Muslim Brotherhood selling out the Palestinian people.
And let's go back to the issue you first said, which is one being labeled Islamophobia. We can see from the name, the Muslim Brotherhood, they play on a sentimental value. Is the name a huge prospect of their basically calling to people, to young minds, to their poison to young minds? How does that play?
The name itself is hijacked. The two words, Muslim, is the identity of every Muslim. And the word brotherhood is our core duty as Muslims. God describes us in the Holy Quran by saying, indeed, or verily, the believers are brothers. So what they have done is that they've taken the two most important words in Islam after the name of God, right? They've taken the name of the religion and the name of the adherents of the religion, the followers of the religion, the brothers, the Muslim brethren. They've taken these two names and they've created a Islamist terminology from these two nouns. And what they've done is they have discriminated against the billions of Muslims simply because they wish to hijack the name from us. You see, let us speak on a more realistic level here. The Muslim Brotherhood are not all Arabs. They're not all Arabs. Some of them are, and some of them are not. And they're an organization. They're not a school of thought, as we said. You know, Islam belongs to us. It belongs to me and you. The Muslim religion belongs to us. What do I mean when I say it belongs to us? Firstly, we are not organizations. We are schools of thought.
Worshippers.
Exactly. We are denominations. We are mainstream Islam. God spoke to us. He spoke to our ancestors. He spoke to your predecessors, spoke to your forefathers through the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family. God sent us a book to this region, Arabia. God sent the book in our language. In the Holy Quran, God says, and we created it, or we made it, a Arabic Quran in order for you to understand. Quran and Arabiya. So God made the Quran in our language. Then on top of that, the Holy Prophet was supported, defended, followed, loved, cared for, backed till this day by us and by our people. I say this to say we are not converts. With all due respect to converts, we are not new to this religion. This religion is part of our DNA, part of our fabric. We don't even separate our tradition from our religion in this region. It's one and only.
And allow me to ask you now, you said everyone who fights or speaks against the Muslim Brotherhood in Europe or in the Western cluster gets that label of an Islamophobe.
Right.
So do they thrive under that?
It's their industry. The Muslim Brotherhood industry is Islamophobia. You can be a minister of, for example, children's affairs in whatever country, or a minister for multiculturalism, and the Muslim Brotherhood will show up in your office and they'll say, we want $20 to $30 million to build a playground for Muslim kids only. Why? Because another community has their own playground, but that's a private playground funded by their own community fundraising efforts. But they will tell you that's discrimination. We want our own swimming pools, our own libraries. Library cannot have a religion.
Where does that funding go?
It goes straight to the Muslim Brotherhood. Don't know. I mean, $20-30 million, you can build several towers in Dubai. And you can build the best playground. I mean, in those areas, 10% of that money. The rest of the money goes to who? The contractors who are Muslim Brotherhood. I'm just giving you an example here. An example.
And is a part of it goes to, let's say, we've seen the Muslim Brotherhood appear in so many terrorist or behind many terrorist organizations. Does they only use it to pocket their own pockets, or does they use it to fund terrorist groups or heinous actions across the globe?
Every single terrorist movement you have seen coming out of the Muslim Brotherhood was paid for, and there are legal documents and legal cases that speak to this. So we're not speaking about something on the moon. No, this is happening within our society.
And that's evident as well.
Of course, legal judgments and court orders, and the legal experts would use the term Muslim Brotherhood to describe them alongside their names.
And let me ask you this as well. I don't mean to go back to the point of Islamophobia, but anyone who's of Western descendancy gets labeled an Islamophobe. Do they have a right to call a Muslim, like someone like yourself, an Imam, a governing member of the Global Imam Council? If you speak about Muslim Brotherhood, do you get labeled as an Islamophobe as well?
The thing, of course we do. Everybody does.
Isn't it sarcastic though?
I'll tell you why it is. Firstly, the term Islamophobia. It's a heavily politicized term. The word Islam refers to a religion, and phobia is an irrational fear. You know what you would describe as a phobia? If someone is afraid of strawberries, for example.
Rational fear.
Irrational fear. It's not irrational to fear ISIS and Osama bin Laden and the Muslim Brotherhood terrorists who assassinate presidents and cause several civil wars in the Middle East. In fact, fearing them
is rational.
Rational. So to label us Islamophobes, the jokes write themselves with the Muslim Brotherhood. But these tactics work. You see, you and I, as Arab Muslims, we can laugh at it. But these tactics work, I'm sorry to say this, with the Westerners and the white Americans and the white Canadians. With all due respect, the Muslim Brotherhood looks through a lens of color. This is a methodology in speech that is very foreign to the American listener and the Canadian listener and the Western listener in general. The Muslim Brotherhood measure impact and measure their targets based on their skin color. They see a white Western woman or man, they say, that's it, I'm going to use this tactic with them. And they will not only fearmonger, they will play the victim card even when it does not apply, even when it doesn't apply. You could be going into a minister of education right? And his file would be on education. They go and speak about Palestine. And therefore, because of the Palestinian cause, you need to give us accreditation for this college. There's no link.
They play a card that has nothing to do with that file just to get it approved or to get their things going.
To bully a minister into approval.
So it's a bully mentality.
Their entire organization exists to bully governments. And if the bullying doesn't work, then comes terrorism and trying to overthrow governments.
I believe, coming from what you've said, my modest understanding is that they're abusing some sentiments in Western cultures like freedom of speech, like representative of minorities, in order to achieve these agendas, basically.
The Muslim Brotherhood does not believe in anything democratic, and they do not believe in any of the democratic social movements and groups and minorities in the West. For example, the LGBTQ community is a community that would be executed under Muslim Brotherhood rule. But the Muslim Brotherhood would use them as an avenue and pathway to advance their causes. The Muslim Brotherhood does not believe in women's rights. Look at how they treat their own women.
How?
I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood, to begin with, they have turned their women into a cult. We have the female wing of the Muslim Brotherhood, the Muslim Sisterhood.
And how does that sisterhood works as well?
They are, firstly, brainwashed from a very young age. The father and the mother brainwash this young woman. Secondly, they have absolutely no sovereignty for themselves. They marry them off to men they decide would be good for the Muslim Brotherhood cause. They have absolutely no future. They can be seen on the internet where they record their female events and the woman says that being beaten up by her husband is a blessing. This mentality is not one that sits well with women's rights, let alone the women's rights that the West champions.
But that's not the mentality that Islam advocates for women to begin with.
Not at all. Not at all. Islam, I mean, if you want to look at women in Islam, look at our books of hadith. Look at how many women are revered as narrators that pass down this entire religion to us. How many chains of narrators include women in them. Look at the stories of females in the Holy Quran, right?
And now, I don't mean to drive the conversation away from an interesting point, but I just would like to ask a question as well. Where do you think the Muslim Brotherhood or other Islamist terrorist organizations thrive currently on the global map?
Europe, America, Canada, and I would say Northern Africa.
Why would you specify those regions?
Firstly, America has been advocating for freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of religion, and those are good values. But the Muslim Brotherhood doesn't look at these values and say, oh, wow, these are values we need to protect. They say these are values we need to abuse and then prevent the others from using them, from having these values. The Muslim Brotherhood wants freedom of expression for itself only. And if you speak, you're an Islamophobic bigot. They want freedom of thought for themselves. And if you speak, then you are anti-Islam, right? The Muslim Brotherhood want freedom of movement, freedom to mobilize. But if you step in to say we need public order, they come and they say you are discriminating against us.
So contradictory to whatever they say.
Videos coming out of Gaza. Look now when there are rains and floods, the tents are falling apart and Palestinians are waking up and their children, babies, infants are waking up with water to the knee. Where's all that money? Who was at the forefront? You see, there were two types of donations to the people in Gaza. One was the official type, the humanitarian bridge, for example, that the UAE established, where it goes directly to the hospitals, to the people in need. And then there are those collectors of donations. The hospitals that were built, whether it be through the UAE, through other contributors officially, United Nations, you can point the finger at them and see them. There's documented report and evidence and volunteers who exist between us who can tell us exactly what happened. As for the other funds that were taken, right, in the hundreds of millions, if not close to billions, over the last 2 years, why are Palestinians looking around for a place to sleep today? Where'd that go? Where did it go?
If someone said, but Imam Mohammad Tawhidi, you're an Imam, why do you speak on these issues? What credentials do you have on speaking on terrorism and counterterrorism? Why don't you stay in your lane, for example? What would you say to those questions?
Firstly, on credentials, I am in my lane. I hold a Master of Counterterrorism. I specialize in counterterrorism from Macquarie University, Sydney, Australia. That's number one. Secondly, this religion is our religion, not the religion of those who not only hijack it, but are opportunists who do not know the basic meanings of the Holy Quran, who have tarnished and ruined the reputation of my Prophet and my Quran and my religion and my region. The religion does not belong to them. It belongs to us. And we are the ones who are tasked, and it's our responsibility in front of God to make sure that those who tarnish the reputation of our God and Prophet and book, we need to expose them and show their true colors whenever we can. It is my mission in life to make sure that extremists who tarnish the reputation of my God and my Prophet do not get away with it.
And this has been a marvelous conversation, an eye-opening conversation for me, and I hope it is for the audience as well, and I'm pretty sure it will be. But if we can end it with a sentence warning and a warning. If Europe doesn't realize, or the Western cluster keep taking that soft sell strategy with extremists, with the Muslim Brotherhood, with other opportunists of Islam, what could be the future?
The Muslim Brotherhood is a cancer. I'm not saying it's like cancer. I'm saying it is cancer, and it will grow and then kill the host. It will kill itself eventually, because cancer, when it kills the host,
dies eventually.
But the point is, it kills the host, and therefore the host country here has the opportunity to save itself, because it saw Egypt save itself. It saw Jordan recently save itself. It saw the UAE thrive after saving itself, right? Protect yourself, and the positive examples and results of doing so can be seen before it becomes not only too late, it becomes problematic to even think of protecting yourself. You will be branded as racist and Islamophobic and sexist, and they'll accuse you of treason, and they'll accuse you of terrorism.
There is no short of labels
at all the minute you want to protect your own country from the Muslim Brotherhood. And they come in all types: suit and tie, hijab, no hijab, turban, long beard, tidy beard, messy beard, speak Arabic, no Arabic at all. Ethnic backgrounds can be different, ages different, communities are different. It is an ideology that is cancer. In every society it enters, and it needs to be exposed and dealt with full force of the law.
If you have a 401k or an IRA, please listen. Gold is at record highs. What many people don't know is this: you can move part of your retirement money legally and without tax penalties into physical gold you actually own. Alpha Omega Gold helps you do this through a gold IRA. Your gold is real. It is stored safely. It is in your name. Learn more at ao.gold/stand. Alpha Omega Gold is our sponsor, and they proudly stand with Israel.